We talked about varieties and cold hardiness, and that's a concern. That's why we recommend them for eastern or basically eastern central North Carolina. Anytime temperatures drop below 12 to 15 degrees Fahrenheit during the winter, there is a chance that we will have tree damage. With the figs, it's no big deal because if we kill back the top, the root system will still come back. We usually recommend that people mulch the bottom 18 inches of the tree. In the fall of the year, in the spring, they pull that mulch away. In case there were cold temperatures, they can pull the mulch away, cut the tree off at that point, and regrow the tree and still have fruit during that season. So that's why, how do we grow figs? Do we grow them as a tree or do we grow them as a bush? It's a preference. It's 6 of one, half dozen of another, if you will. I like to grow mine as a tree with one trunk coming out and then spreading the branches out. Again, it has more of a challenge. We have greater problems with pruning and the trees dying back. If we grow them as a bush with 15 or 20 canes coming out of the ground, it's much easier to manage, realizing, however, that that plant will grow out and creep outward over time.
And it changes year to year, just like a lot of other crops that we grow in North Carolina.
That is correct, it does. It's a challenge each year, but again, figs is one plant that you can abuse them, and if you can't grow figs, you might want to consider painting.
What about pruning figs? How do you typically, you talked about kind of cutting them back if they die back, but if you're trying to grow it into a large tree like the ones here, right. You know, we've got 15 to 20 feet here. We're not cutting those all the way to the ground every year.
No, that's correct. When we grow them as a tree, we have a main tree structure, and then we come back in and we prune out shading and crossing branches during the dormant season. So growing a tree can be a challenge. Here we have a structure that we have to worry about with students climbing on structures with safety concerns. So at that point in time, our goal here is to contain the plants so they are within 10, 12 foot of the ground. However, if you put a tree in a landscape, it can grow out easily to 25 or 30 feet.
Makes it kind of hard or difficult to harvest the fruit. You know, by pruning it this way, you keep it a little lower to the ground, make it easier to harvest.
That is true, and that is a challenge with ladders. And as you allow the tree to grow larger, the fruit zone, instead of being down local to the ground, when I was growing them at home with my kids, they could pick the fruit for the first 3 or 4 years from the ground. After that, we had to use an extension ladder. At that time, it's a challenge to do that. You grow them as a bush with these canes coming out of the ground. Pruning is much easier. You allow those canes to grow for maybe 3 to 5 years, and then you come in and eliminate canes completely. So you keep the fruit in closer to the ground. It's much easier for training and pruning as well.